Man, I don't want to have to do this. I'm one of the conductors of the New York Jets hype train. I'm here for it. I am. However, there is one narrative circulating the Jets Twitterverse that I have to squelch the flames of a little bit. And that is comparing one Ahmad Sauce Gardner to legendary Jets cornerback Darrelle Revis. There's 3 reasons why I think this is not the best idea. None of them, by the way, have anything to do with putting too much pressure on Sauce. No, he was a top 5 pick in the NFL draft. He just got like $30 million fully guaranteed, and he is as confident a young man as they come. I bet you in his mind, he thinks he's going to be better than Darrelle Revis. And good for you, Sauce. Go get some. So I'm good there, and so is he. But number one, I think as fans, if we want to make sure we appreciate Sauce Gardner for the very good cornerback I think he will develop into pretty darn quickly, we might want to temper that standard a little bit. Do ourselves a favor. Number 2 is just remembering how unbelievable Darrelle Revis was. Now, did he have the electric highlights of primetime Deion Sanders? No. Does he have the most interceptions of some other defensive backs like a Woodson? No, he does not. And did he have the longest prime of a guy like Champ Bailey? Negative there as well. However, if there was one football game, and my life was on the line, and on the other team was a dynamic, elite number 1 wide receiver, who do I want shadowing them across the field? Number 24 in green and white. It isn't even close. That 5 to 6 year peak between when he popped in 2009 to before the ACL tear, Darrelle Revis played the cornerback position better than any human being who's ever lived. And let's revisit the list, the graphic, in case you haven't seen it in a while. You know how it goes. 2009, a list of wide receivers Darrelle Revis held under 35 yards. Andre Johnson, Randy Moss, 2 times. Terrell Owens, 2 times. Okay, so we have 3 Hall of Famers and 2 of the top 5 wide receivers of all time. Just to start. Steve Smith, Chad Ochocinco, Reggie Wayne, Torrey Holt, and Marquise Colston. Under 35 yards. And I think what gets lost in Darrelle Revis' game as our memory starts to fade, or for younger fans coming up, I have a younger cousin who's about 15 who's a Jets fan, and he remembers Revis for the brand. Revis Island takes away half the field, and how he became kind of a mercenary towards the end of his career. No one loved their money more than Revis, right? But don't get it twisted. That man was a savage on the football field. There was no prima donna on Sundays from 1 to 4. He was a willing tackler, and he would straight up mug wide receivers and take their lunch money at the line of scrimmage. They had to change the rules because of this guy. You know, it wasn't even this, right? It wasn't even the incompletion sign that I remember with Darrelle Revis on wide receivers. No, it didn't even get to that point. It was this. Wide receivers getting up crying to the ref because they're like, how is it legal what he just did to me? Couldn't even get into my route. I mean, the wide receiver he was covering was out of your read. It wasn't in one of your progressions. Quarterbacks didn't even look that way. That's why he doesn't have so many interceptions. The game was now 10 on 10. That wide receiver is done. So that's number 2. Recognizing and remembering the greatness of Darrelle Revis. And finally, I think Darrelle Revis and Richard Sherman might be the last of a dying breed of the true shutdown corner. I don't know if we'll see those anymore. Because number 1, we mentioned the rule changes favoring offense. And number 2, the way offenses are called and the progression of skill players on offense all over the place. It used to be like 2 wide receivers, 1 tight end who was just there to block, or maybe a fullback. Now, more 3, 4 wide receiver sets. The explosion of the slot receiver. All the running backs can catch. And Waller, Gesicki, Kyle Pitts, these are 6'6", 250-pound wide receivers lining up at tight end. So if I have 5 dynamic, eligible pass catchers and you're covering one of them, are you really taking away half the field? No. So now, I don't know if it is valuable to have that top dog corner. I think your back end of your defense is almost just as strong as your weakest link. So, although I love the pick at 4 for Sauce Gardner, I think he's going to be an excellent football player in green and white. But number 24, he's in a class of his own. All gas, no break.